All right, today is October the 5th, 2025, and it is about 10:45 a.m. And I am making this recording today from my bathroom. Making this recording about Instacart, a grocery shoppers app. So this is what I want to start out by saying. Instacart is a platform that provides a grocery service for people to have their groceries delivered. It is supposed to be a means of convenience, and it serves as a liaison between the shopper and the driver. That is the only benefit, that you get money for shopping these grocery orders. However, Instacart has many defects in terms to the app, in terms of service, in terms of tips. There is not a system in place that pretty much gives it a defined, it's not defined enough. It's not defined when it comes down to mileage. The batch earnings are inconsistent. You can get $20 on a batch to go to Glasgow, but then you could get a $9 batch to go 39 miles to Butler County. There's no consistency, rhyme, or reason there. That's what my batch earnings are to equal out with other orders that are on different platforms. But we're just going to talk primarily, we're going to leave out all of law, and we're going to strictly focus on the defects of the app. How is Instacart defining their pay scales based on what? Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason. So you can take a batch and get $4 base pay and a $20 tip, and you can take it and get an $8 base pay and a $5 tip. There's no rhyme or reason to it. They just put stuff there, and that is not correct. It should be based on a minimum of such and such for your base pay, such and such for mileage. That computes to your batch. Anything over that, you can dispute, or you can requests if your GPS took you over. For example, DoorDash and Uber Eats, if you are on a call longer than expected of no fault of your own, of a change in delay, they compensate you immediately for that. Instacart does not. So that is an issue. An issue when it comes down to safety. Uber, Instacart has many issues there. You should be able to know your location and not just the mileage. And since we're in the state of Bowling Green, Kentucky, we should have access to rural routes or neighborhoods, or where there may be construction, or that it may be travel on a road, back roads, or whatever. It should give you some type of heads up and should at least give you the street to where you're going so that you can identify. Now, again, in my case, the law interferes with that, but I'm just, again, trying very hard to leave it out and just focus on what needs to be done. So Instacart has that flaw. It is a big flaw because it's like you get a surprise after the end of the order. And I feel like that is very intimidating, very, it makes you anxious that when you're shopping the order, you don't know where you're going, if you're going to be safe, if it's going to be a remote location. This is not what you're supposed to do. The technology allows these apps to utilize satellite tracking. You should know all of this before you accept an order. And by them having the means, you should be able to see a picture to the profile or upload it so that you have a constant picture of, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what it is. And that is fair because that person is shopping on the app. It's about making the experience safe and pleasant for the customer as well as the person that's dropping off the order. In a nutshell, Instacart's platform is garbage. It doesn't give you enough information. The system is outdated. It still looks exactly the same as it did in 2021 when I first signed up for it. That means they have made no provisions for any updates in security or even the interface of app. The card usage, this is where we have a problem. It should not be 2 cards issued to one account. This is where we also have a problem. Okay. So that should not be in a date and time when technology and artificial intelligence is duplicating people. Why do we not think that it will duplicate accounts? This is not what we need to do. It is not safe for anyone. It is not smart. It is one of the reasons why fraud remains a consistent in the United States. And that's because private owners make money from it, but they keep the jails full from it. But it is a senseless crime, and it should not be, when technology has the capability of putting restrictions and barriers at the points of access where it is most needed. So in a nutshell, that is simply stupid to be still going in the store, swiping, tapping, anything that is not 6-factor authenticated and protected. Why are you tapping anything, or why are you swiping, or why would you as a company allow someone to add a card to Google Pay and you have not verified that device at all, nor put perimeters around that device on where and how it is used? That is completely stupid to me. It's just dumb. It means it is outrageous and it's careless. But again, it is done to breed fraud, to breed issues, to cause problems, so that law enforcement can be involved and make fictitious accounts of crime using the weaknesses of these platforms. Now, I said I'm going to leave law out, but in this case, they may have to come in. Instacart sends out a card in the mail. That right there is done. We should not be doing that anymore. That's a waste of technology, a waste of plastic that could be used to do something else for the environment. What all delivery companies should be moving towards is pay fobs. You don't see a number, you ain't got one. So we only want to know it. You don't need to know it. What the hell are you knowing the number for? You don't need to know the number. Go in the store and tap the fob, and we have created a new fob system that is very similar to the snapshot, or similar to the technology that you plug and play in your car for insurance. That is what they need to move with when it comes down to delivery platforms across the board. This will eliminate fraud on all levels. Why? Because you don't have access to nothing. You don't have access to a fob. You don't have access to a number. You don't need that. You simply don't need it. You're going to pay for a product and tap. The only people that need to know payments is the peer-to-peer companies that are working together. The person that's paying and the bank that is sending the money over to Instacart or Uber Eats or Lyft. You do not need to have any type of banking access. You are simply the middleman. So if we took that out, now putting law back in, what will law have to work on? Absolutely nothing. They would have nothing to work on. Why? Because it's clear when you go in the store that she didn't have no card to swipe. Ain't no PIN number to put in. Ain't no member bonus card to link. Ain't no account. Ain't no approved or declined. It ain't none of that, because you simply don't have access to it. So now there is nothing for the law to build. And if there's nothing for the law to build, there is no crime that could be produced. Why? Because we don't have access to nothing. It has all been taken away. So simply, when you go in, you will receive your pay fob in the mail. You will sign for it. Why are they just sending out cards? Ain't nobody signed for that. So you could just go on Instacart and create an account and start boop, boop, boop. And ain't nobody said, who is this person? You didn't send in ID. You didn't send in nothing. And then they be having the nerve to say, take your picture on what IP address? Because I don't see an IP address anywhere on your platform. Nowhere. And the feds thrive very hard on IP addresses. So that means that that is a critical point of information you do not have, or you have not made that privilege consumer or to the shopper. So you go into a store and you're using a barcode. Why are you using a barcode that doesn't expire, that is simply attached to keystrokes and programs that you are not aware of? The date, the time, the computer is not tech savvy at this point yet. So the robot, it will scan anything. He's just taught to scan the barcode, but he don't care what the barcode is. He's not that smart yet. So once again, you're allowing a point of transaction, a pot, to be used for the purpose of fraud. Now we take that and we move it over to how is that intent now connected to personal injury and the intentional infliction of emotional distress. Well, we simply take what the law does. They play with rural areas. Let's take Reedville Road. That was an intentional infliction of emotional distress. You will ride for 39 miles and think of where I'm taking you. Think about it. Have anxiety about it. You don't know what it looked like, how I'm going to woo you. And you ride and you get there, you see that. And what would any normal person, let's not take me for example, let's review the people that I showed that video to. I will use the lady at T-Mobile. Oh my God. Let's take Easter. I would have been terrified, Chris. Let's say Gwanda, I wouldn't have even went. And that's the FBI. And she said, I would not have even went. I would have left that. Sheila, the mayor, former mayor, said, I would have left it and there was definitely a crime committed. So we see that there is no protection when it comes down to the shopper. The shopper is at risk of mental injury. I don't know if this person's private beliefs are racist, anti-racist, anti-Semitic, Christian, Buddha. I don't know what their beliefs are. I'm just going to this person's house. No, there has to be a plan. A plan. If you live on this, if you have a winding driveway, if you have this, then a person is not allowed to come off of street view to deliver your packages to you. That is strictly at the discretion of that person. Why? Because we're keeping the customer safe. You are allowed to get the packages or the grocery at your mailbox. You are not authorized and have to drive 5 miles up a person's driveway. That's 5 more miles that is not included in the Instacart order. That's a good point. It is only giving you the directions to get to that address. However long you got to drive up that person's driveway or into that person's yard out of view of the public, that becomes, this is now at the discretion of the shopper and it can be seen as unsafe. I'm no longer on the road. I'm in the confines of this person's physical property. If anything was to transpire or occur, what is the protection of this customer? Instacart has failed to provide any type of disclosures, any type of addendums, any type of videos on how you can deliver groceries effectively and remain safe at all times. This is designed to be a contactless procedure, mainly during the times of COVID. These apps became on the rise. People thought it was great. Drop it there on the porch and leave. Now people are coming outside. Their animals are coming outside. People can be combative. They now think they own you. Put it here, take it to the garage, put it in the mailbox, open the door and slide it next to all of these things. Instacart is responsible for a mutual code of conduct for the shopper as well as the consumer. This keeps the platform safe. This keeps everyone aware of the conduct that should be conveyed on both sides. This is all about a transaction of respect. You respect me as the shopper, I respect you as the customer. You are not owned at that point just because a person placed an order. You don't have a right to continue to badger the person, to ask for unreasonable things. You don't have the right to call the person repeatedly and excessively. And you do not ever have the right to cause a person any type of emotional or mental anguish in regards to a proposed act of violence. This is automatically a disbarment. You are automatically off the platform. And the address of your device will not allow you to register again. Your profile has been deleted. Even if you were created at another one, the address is blackballed. We have taken it out. It will not allow it. Very similar to when you call Pizza Hut and they get so many areas in a black area in a ghetto. Pizza Hut will tell you in a minute, we do not deliver there. Why? Because we are keeping our drivers safe. So what more if they are just taking a simple box that is light? What more if you're bringing a 50-pound bag of cat litter and grocery and meat and drinks? What more should you do to keep that person safe when they're having to make multiple trips to put this away? There is not enough protection. There is not enough compensation. However many bags you get, that's how much you pay for. However many items you get, that's how much you pay for. It's all about the pounds at the end of the day. How much estimated pounds is on this grocery that you're making this person lift and do because you think you own them. The lady got 3 things of cat litter. There was no heavy pay involved. Why? You ordered 3 20-some pound things of cat litter. Then another person the same day ordered a large 50-pound bag of cat litter. They're not paying heavy pay there. They're not paying anything for you to bend over and pick this up and then bring it up my driveway. They're not paying you for that. So anything that you add in that cart, it is reviewing the price and it's looking at the pounds, the ounces. Why? Because it tells you that on the thing. So artificial intelligence is now skimming. I'm making sure you get heavy pay because that cat litter was 50 pounds. So this is going to be a heavy pay item. Would you still like it? It's going to cost you $3 more to have this delivered. Now, oh, I thought so. So you went down to the 16-ounce bag. Oh, that's what I thought. Why? Because now you're looking at, I have to pay this person to bring this to me. This is not FedEx. This is not UPS. This is grocery. It is only meant to be 10 plus items, and they are getting ridiculous. I'm just making my whole food stamp grocery on here, and it's no tip. And Instacart is saying they got 50 items and the batch is $7 and it's 20 some miles and $1 tip. No, that's not right. That's still over a certain amount of items you got to pay. Why? Because that's multiple trips that person is taking back and forth to their car to bring this order to you. We're paying a minimum batch for as many bags as a person can reasonably take, and that will be 2 in one hand and 2 in another, 4 bags. Anything outside of that, outside of what would fit into 4 bags comfortably, about 8 to 10 items, you have to pay more. 8 to 10 items, this is the batch base. 10 to 20 items, this is the batch base, the batch price, the base pay. The base pay and the mileage is not right. The safety is not right. And the platform is whack. It is breeding fraud. The simple fact that you can add an electronic card is ridiculous. And even more so, it's ridiculous. So much information to a person that you have not verified. You have not verified this person. I know I haven't, because I don't understand how these apps get past federal law. I thought you had to show proof of citizenship to work in the United States. I thought that was the law. So how are these apps bypassing this? Because the agents are using that as a means to build fraud. So they're allowing it because everybody's making money from this. The jail's making money, the police is making money, the feds are making money, private companies are making money, so we'll just leave it. But it's a very senseless thing. You mean to tell me since 2021, you haven't thought of any way to better your platform? Then you definitely need me to be working for you. You haven't thought of anything that you could do better in 4 years? You are that complacent? Then that means you're not trying to be a competitive market, because you definitely have another flaw when it comes down to your ad and your pop-up. Do not mention Instacart. This is not an Instacart order. Well, why are you having it on your platform? If that person ordered through Kroger, Kroger is responsible for their own delivery app and payment. And then when you accept it, it must say, this is a Kroger delivery. Kroger, you are working under Kroger delivery. Acknowledge this. And then when Instacart does their accepts and conditions, they say, we partner with Kroger delivery. In order to deliver for us, sometimes you would get a Kroger Shop Now. If you do, you must accept the terms of that delivery. I haven't accepted any terms from you. So why am I taking an order to somebody's house that's through an online pay method? No one knows who they are, and I rest my case. Do you see the bridge of deceit? It's a guess. It's online pay, and Instacart is saying, this ain't mine. This ain't mine. So don't mention my name. So why are you paying for it? Why is it in your batch? Why are you dispatching the order to me? So do you clearly see why in a court this would never, ever work? Because people will look at that and say, why are they sending that to you? And then saying, don't mention my name. So the Readyville order is online pay. And Instacart saying, don't mention my name. So when you went to the address, they're saying that wasn't my order. It is your order. You're responsible because you sent it. And you did not include a third party to say, this is not our order. You have discretion. But they told me yesterday on the phone, we will penalize you if you don't take the order. That you said is not yours. Let's get the phone that you're talking on. Let's get the IP address. It done went too far. And we can take all of that and build it back. Why are you on the phone talking about an order that you said is not yours? And she messed up and said, I'm going to call the customer. You said this is not your order. This was an online pay order through a third party. When it has online pay, it says this is not Instacart's order. Or sometimes it come up and say that Kroger shop now, and then when you accept that this person paid whatever, it's not. They don't have any verification, any barriers, any boundaries, so that the shopper is always aware. This should never be a surprise to the shopper. I need to know who this order is for. What platform did they use to place the order? Because it looks like you could be saying, well, this person ordered this grocery, because I ordered grocery from Target through Uber Eats. So I ordered a few things of grocery. It was late. I ordered some shampoo and conditioner. That was the main thing I wanted. I ordered that. Ordered something to drink. Ordered me some cakes. And ordered me some something else. And the order came. I ordered 6 things about 3 weeks ago. So, no, 2 weeks ago. So the order came, as I know that I paid through Uber Eats. So the person that brought the order was supposed to be on the Uber Eats platform. If they said we got your order through such and such, Uber Eats is responsible for saying we have partnered now, because why? This is a transfer of responsibility. Why? Because if that driver gets hurt, somebody needs to know who he was working for. Somebody is accountable. If I get hurt, I need to know who that person was working for. What's his name? I can't just show up to a person and they're saying, oh, be a guest. I ain't gonna tell you my name. I ain't gonna tell you this. I have a right to know, because you're coming to my personal space and you're bringing me a product, and there is a reasonable amount of liability. So we are discussing liabilities and responsibilities, procedures, guidelines, rules, regulations, and policies. And if we were to review all of these in a court or in a closed session, most people, 99.9% of people would agree with me, because there is a reasonable amount of fraud, crime, and safety procedures at large have not been addressed, in addition to compensatory damages, that if the feds were to do a review, they would say she is absolutely right. By the time you do an order, this is below a reasonable expectation of service, aka slavery. 51 items for $7.46 going 18 miles equals slavery. You divide the number of items into the batch pay and multiply that times, you take the amount of items and divide that into the batch pay and divide that by your mileage. And that is what you're going to come up with. So if it was an Aldi's order for $7.36, I'm going to divide the amount of items into $7.36. And then I'm going to take that amount and then I'm going to divide the miles into that. And if the Internal Revenue Service pays 55 to 65 cents per mile for self-employment, then at the end of the fiscal year, when that person reconciles their books, they're going to come back and the Internal Revenue Service is going to be paying those differentials in that mileage, because that person is going to be saying, I only got paid this, and you said you'll pay me this. So not only are they getting paid for the miles, but there's a gap. I only got paid 20 cents for this. You said you'll pay me 55. So now what I'm eligible to do is write off more expenses, which makes the Internal Revenue Service pay more money, which is why they're going to look at that from my perspective and say, oh no. Because if people start writing off more expenses for DoorDash or for Uber Eats, we're paying out more money for this platform. So they're going to go to that guy and they're going to say, you're going to have to change, because they're going to start writing off more expenses because you're not paying enough in miles equals maintenance equals oil change times gas times it. They're going to write, even though all of this is already written off, it's more because you're not paying enough. So the average miles is 12,000 per year. Well, if that person has did 40,000 in SS, go and do that 40,000 in miles and do that by your mileage times 55 cents. Then take the differential hardship. Then take the receipts for the gas. That person ends up with the refund if they have children, or they end up breaking even. So this is not beneficial for the Internal Revenue Service anymore. I'm not making no money from this anymore. So we're going to have to cut this out. We're going to have to change. And that's how that's going to roll, because they're not going to make any money. The person is never going to be paying taxes on it, even though the books are reconciled. I'm not, because everything they're doing, I'm putting it all back into these expenses that are legitimate write-offs. So it's not going to work. It's going to end up falling apart. They're going to have to up the mileage, up the money, so that on paper, the job makes sense. On paper, the job does not make sense. I made $70.86 yesterday, and it was due to gas. That I took $35 from that left me $35 left. Okay? Gas is a write-off expense. That got written off. Lunch. I ate lunch on duty. $8. That is $43 I have written off in an expense. Now I have $27 left. How can that be written off? Maintenance. I had to wash my vehicle so I can look good going where I'm going. I had to service the vehicle if you had to have it serviced. And at the end of the day, what is left? There's nothing left. And then I haven't even computed the mileage reimbursement. So that's not even included. So once that gets included for the 90 plus miles I rode yesterday, we're at a credit. And so that's why they're going to say, this is not working. It's not working. If you pay them mileage, they pay us money because you're paying more money and they have more money. If they earn more, we make money from the taxes that they owe on the money that they earn. We're not putting this together for them to work and not get no money, and we're just paying out. That's not what the process is supposed to be. It is supposed to be that the income is lucrative. It's not lucrative. When you put it on paper, it does not make sense. It has to make sense on paper. If the person makes $70 in the day, you have to make that $70 go to the bank and make it count with no expenses going out. This determines your profit and loss. This is sound banking, financial management practices. It doesn't make sense on paper. We have lost from the Internal Revenue Service's perspective. We are at a disadvantage with this plan. They're going to write out everything that they earned, and we're not going to get any taxes from this. What the hell is going on? They're not charging enough. And so they're making money. They're making loads of money, but no one else is. The consumer is not, and neither is the Internal Revenue Service. And when you put it from that perspective, there will be a lot of white people having conversations, because that's going to say, she's absolutely right. Oh, absolutely. So then what do? They have to pay more. They have to pay per mile, per batch, per. Everything is per. If you go to the United States Postal Service, you cannot just put an envelope up there and say, I have a stamp on it. It is per ounce. We move in this per ounce. Why is the mail by the ounce, but grocery is not? We're doing this by ounce because everything in your cart is weighed. When you can't put anything in the grocery cart without it saying, no, you didn't get the right size. This was supposed to be 32 ounces. This was supposed to be 16 ounces. So why are we in our personal vehicles moving products and services from one place to the other without getting the proper amount of pay in ounces? And since I'm set up to be a drug dealer, drug dealers move by weight. We weigh everything because they call me a drug dealer. So if I'm moving drugs, I'm not moving this without weighing it. I need to know what this equates to, if it's worth my time in going here 39 miles. I ain't got no money. It ain't worth that to me. So when you look at an Instacart order, is 39 miles for $17. Your miles is never supposed to be more than the compensation. Or unless that no tip, then if it's no tip, then Instacart is responsible for the full batch because the person didn't tip. But it's not behooving to the person to take that order. And unless it's a small amount of items, but still, it's not beneficial when it comes down to your miles. So Instacart is not paying the shopper the appropriate amount for mileage. And they do not have the appropriate addendums in place when it comes down to safety and security. Now, what it's going to take is somebody white to get hurt or to bring this to their attention, and then they will make the necessary accommodations to make it happen. But because I'm Black and Hispanic, they talk about it, they'll probably do some work to it. nobody moves for Black people. It's going to take somebody white, somebody named Sarah, to have had this same thing to go on, get spit on, and Sarah's going to be on Google and say, I spit on, and oh my God, and all I did was have his groceries, and he didn't get them for me, and I'm devastated, and now I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't ever want to go to the grocery store again. And Sarah's going to be on Google. She's going to be on USA Today. She's going to be on CNN. Everybody's going to give her free groceries for the rest of her life. Instacart is going to pay her. They're going to come out and say, we do not want to release a statement, but we are looking into the matter, and we're definitely going to get involved and see what's going on. We definitely do not condone racism on our platform. And then the person, they're going to flash an ugly mugshot of somebody Black, even if he was white, they're going to put somebody Black up there and say, this is him that did it, and it was a food stamp order, and he never registered, and they're going to take all the responsibility off the person that really did it. And then they're going to just attach a whole bunch of things. But Sarah is going to walk away a complete hero, set for the rest of her life for what happened to her on Instacart. But I'm Black. The same thing happened. I'm on YouTube. They hid every single thing about it. Anything else, I can put food up there, and they got 5,000 views. You put what you got spat on by a white person on Instacart named Guess, no views. We gonna hide that. Why is the law hiding that? It's quiet. It's real quiet. So when it comes down to at the end of the day, when you take that same order to that man on August the 16th, was it not recorded that Instacart said that wasn't their order? Was that not the case, that you was not on the order? Is that not correct? That is correct. So moving forward to October the 4th, the day that your mom died, Instacart sent that order again to that location. Can I go back to where, what did you say you felt, Maxine? I felt terrified. No further questions, Your Honor. And I got that in a text. You said you felt what? I was scared, Chris. You was afraid. So on October the 4th, when your mom was laid to rest, Instacart sent you that order again. Instacart sent me that order again at the same time, to the same place, on the day that your mom was laid to rest. And Your Honor, that is intentional infliction of emotional distress, and I am owed compensatory, punitive, and wage damages because they did not pay. They paid me on August the 16th for the order, and I didn't deliver it. But they didn't pay you yet. They did not pay me on October the 4th, 2025. And I rest my case. Let me see the device, the IP addresses, the receipt, the number that's attached to it, the address. And once I do that, let me take the amount of money that you made and watch it go all the way down. So you took my money and my orders down after I called and complained on somebody white. I'm going to take all of it off the man now, and it's going to go on Instacart. So you said in the front of that camera, hypothetically speaking, we don't support or condone racism, and we will make sure that we get to the bottom of this. I recorded you because I'm on a business platform. I had every right to record. I'm working. And this is abuse. I had every right to record. This is not a personal conversation. This is business, and I had a right to record. It's a business matter going on, a transaction. I'm in the public. I recorded. So you took that statement that is on record, and you said, we do not support this. We will look into it and get back. We have taken that person off the platform. I recorded it. And you came back on the day that my mom was laid to rest. Your Honor, I think it's very coincidental that she was laid to rest 15 years ago today, which equals 5 = 6. And you tell me that this was not premeditated, deliberate, and downright evil. Doesn't matter the intent of the racist, Your Honor. Instacart was fully responsible and capable, and the lady messed up yesterday when she what? Apologized. I'm sorry we sent this to you. Oh, you will be, because what was very small is now huge. And you got what? Punitive, compensatory, mental anguish, intentional infliction. It was intentional. And after that, you took my wages all the way down. And then the second order after that, Your Honor, looked identical in features to the man's location. So they still wanted me to have it in my mental. Good night. Oh, I should have been an attorney. Why am I need to be a federal attorney for the United States government and win all these black people money and damages for slavery. So you slaved me and made me go in the store and shop for this white man if I can't but touch. If I can't but touch the hem of the garment of the Supreme Court Justice of the United States, if I can't but touch and high five, I'm telling you, them white people will say that black girl is so brilliant. Oh, not only did the Lord tear it up, but the Lord built my damages. Instacart is trying to get sued. I ain't even got to worry about it. And I'm saying that was my livelihood. I was paying my rent, my bills with that. And they took it all the way down. And I recorded all my orders from there on. I said they all went to cemeteries. I was gonna win. DJ said, "What is in your hand?" What is in your hand? Winning is my winning season. It's not. See what the enemy meant for harm. See, God told me last night, forgive that man. And you post it on your page because he gonna read it. You forgive that man because that man set you up. He set me up for a blessing because the FBI know. They already knew when they seen this. We gonna let this go. See, what the devil meant for harm. See, they sat there. I'm under federal investigation. They let that go. We gonna let that go because we know Crystal is from the Lord and Crystal gonna build that. And she gonna wake up with The Lord, see, when you do it the Lord's way, the Lord said, forgive that man. The Lord told me that last night. Forgive that man. Forgive him and pray for him. I woke up with a blessing out this world, and Instacart sent me to all cemeteries. And look how God did it. It ain't got nothing to do with the man no more. It ain't got nothing to do with him. This all Instacart fault, because your algorithms. I ain't got to worry about who trained the algorithms. I ain't got nothing to do with that. This is Instacart. Me and the owner of Instacart. You owe me lots of money. You want to know why? Because sir, no one cares who did it. You're responsible for your platform. You're lacking procedures, policies, rules, regulations, guidelines, and definement. And the Internal Revenue Service ain't gonna like it either, because they not getting no money from this. It's my winning season. Look at God. Look at God. Look at God. Ooh. Ooh. That is just brilliant right there. I'm trying to tell you. Oh my Lord, that is so brilliant right there. I'm trying to tell you. That is so smart. See, when you forgive and you do it God's way, when you do it God's way, when you trust him. I went to bed last night. See, you got to pay attention. It ain't no distance. Ain't no distance in the spirit. I don't care these people that's running these mega ministries. These is billion-dollar pastors up there that with assets worth billions of dollars. These pastors can't do nothing unless God allow it. I ask God every time, who do you want me to listen to? Who to turn off? Who got my word, my manna in their mouth? Because he provides. And oh, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I'm preaching. He said, when the children of Israel, they went out, they didn't know what to do. He had just led them out from captivity. And they told Moses, why did you bring us out here to die? Why did you go to Bowling Green? It wasn't to die. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. They asked Moses, why did you lead us out here? Was it to die? Was it to be? Why did you bring us out here? At least there we had food. We had a place to sleep. But God provided manna every day. And he did it on purpose so that they could trust. He had their deliverance in his hand all along. Oh, God said the FBI will work for me. Oh, he said it. He said it. He said it. He said it. All along, God said, I got the manna, their food, their nutrition in my hand. Look for it every day. And he even made it so that on the 5th day, on the last day, the manna, you can't use it. I'm sorry, not the 5th day. On the end of each day, it spoiled. It spoiled. So they couldn't preserve. They had to look to the Lord every day for help. And every day I have to look to the Lord, from whence my help cometh. All my help comes from the Lord. And I looked to him, who got my word, who got my manna in their hands. And I turned it on last night and they kept turning it off. And she said, the God who answers prayer. And when you do it God's way, he said, forgive so that I may forgive you your trespasses. Forgive that man. I forgive. And I let it go and I went to sleep. And when I woke up, look at what's in your hand today. Look at what's in your hand. The man only provided the blessing to you. Pharaoh only provided the means to the children of Israel. Had God not let them out, there wouldn't have been a sea. They had to get to the sea. They didn't understand it. They didn't know what was going on. But when they got to the sea and he divided the land, and he crushed every enemy, and all of their jewels, all of their resources, everything they had, it had to come because they trusted the Lord. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. I was just like the children of Israel. So did you leave me to Bowling Green to die? You did not. There is a sea in front of you. And if you stretch out your sword, if you stretch out your hand in faith and believe in your heart in what I have told you, that sea, it will divide. The traps of the enemy are destroyed. And I woke up and the Lord said the manipulation is in the IP address. Take the address apart, and everything else will fall apart. And when I did that, it wasn't build it. It was to see the blessing in the defaults in the app, which makes the company responsible. And that's where your damages come from, because it was intentional infliction of emotional distress. Because now you have a clear pattern of abuse. And it has nothing to do with the man, because God even allowed the man to just be a guest. God just allowed him to be the man that he was used. See, the devil can do nothing unless God allow it. He can do nothing unless God allow it. And God allowed it. I allowed you to go. That's why when I went, it was no fear. It was no fear. It was no fear yesterday when I got it, because God knew this is not what it looks like. Stretch out your hand and see this through the eyes of faith. And when I got there, it was curse breaker prayer. And that is Seed Bureau protection. And when I seen it, I said, I seen the number 2. It was number 2 on that man's property. That means that was the law. That means the law saw it. That means they allowed it because they knew it would come into a blessing. Crystal will see the blessing in this. And last night before I went to bed, it said on TV, all things, was it TV or Facebook? Something, all things will make sense in time. When you give it to God, I gave it to the Lord, and woke up today and looked at how God built it for me. Look at how he built it for me. It is in the IP address, the changes, the manipulation. This is the fault of the company. And it is perfect because I don't have a victim other than myself. I don't have the person's information, which is perfect. Because there is nobody even for Instacart. That's their job. It's just my job because you did it and put me with a guest. It's perfect. Because now you had anybody doing this. Because anybody can be a guest. It's perfect. And so God shifted the responsibility on where it goes. This is Instacart's fault. It's negligence. It's gross negligence. And it's personal injury. It's personal injury. It's personal injury. And it's intentional infliction of emotional distress. That platform was misused for the intent of causing emotional harm to another person. And ain't not one attorney won't take that case. Not one. And it got damages to it. And the money changes. They should have never done that. They took it down lower and lower and lower with visible. It's brilliant. And all I did was surrender to God and forgave. And look what God did for me. I woke up and just forgave, did it God's way. I cannot wait. I have to save this. I've been in the tub all this time, an hour and 7 minutes. I got to save this. I got to listen to this again. This was so good. This was so amazing. What God did. It makes so much sense, and it's easy, and it's money. And they can't deny it. And I got all the proof and the addresses. Cemetery Road, Cemetery Lane, Cemetery this. I wrote it. God had me write it all down and record the look at the where they took me, where they was making me go so that I would have fear. They gave me all the orders that nobody wanted. It says it is 65 cents a mile. And I know that. Why you think I write down miles everywhere I go? I write them miles down, honey, because I know the Internal Revenue Service, what I'm trying to tell you is, I pay attention. I held my books when I did my business. My books are impeccable. Everything you need to know is in there. So when I'm doing Instacart, I'm the only one probably that got books like this with miles, everything to the T. Oh yeah. So they not paying you enough. No, they owe me damages, and they owe me wages because of all them orders that I shot that you didn't pay me for. And then when I go back and calculate each order, they're not, you don't have no base rate. The orders don't make no sense. $17 for 39 miles. But the same 30 miles day before yesterday on October the 3rd was 36 miles. And then you altering the tips. No. That is so good. I'm so happy today, and I feel so light and at peace. I can't wait to listen to this again. It was so good having God to build that. And it's so many laws. The lawsuit is sound. It can't be argued and dismissed as frivolous. It is missing information. The app does not provide enough information about the consumer or enough information even to Instacart as the shopper, because the Lord told me that IP address is where we're going to
tear it all down. The Lord told me that this morning, woke up in my spirit, tear that IP address up, tear it up, and watch. Don't you find a surprise? Yes, I did. I found one, and boy, did I ever! Woo! All right, I gotta go. I will be back. This has been great. I gotta save this. Hold on. That is so good. I cannot wait to listen to this later. All right, I gotta go. Bye. And I am telling